What's happening, everybody? Grandpa GB02 here, kicking it back once again up here at Humble Hyundai here in the north end of Houston, Texas. Or rather, in today's case, I should call it Humble Genesis, because today I've got the keys to the 2017 Genesis G80. Now, while the vehicle you'll be seeing today is quite familiar to some of you, to others, this is now the new springboard into a company that hopes to take on some of the biggest names in the business. Alrighty guys, so here we go, the 2017 Genesis G80. Well, for starters, I'm going to actually begin this review with a quick little lesson from our good friends in the English dictionary, because the technical definition for the term Genesis refers to the origin or the mode of formation of something. And how this relates to the G80 we're looking at here is basically there'd be no point in calling the company what it is now without bringing in the original car that started it all so many years ago. Now, to those who are looking at this G80 and saying that this is exactly the same car that was originally referred to as the Hyundai Genesis for both 2015 and 16, well, surprise, surprise, you guys are exactly correct. Now, Genesis hasn't exactly made a huge list of revisions to this car, but more so they've made a revision to the options list, because with a starting price for the lower end G80 starting at $41,000, this car definitely needs to have a pretty substantial options list as a base model to actually make it worth the price tag. Now, the one I'm showing you here is definitely nothing close to a base model. In fact, this one is the most loaded model of the G80 that you can possibly have. This is a 2017 G80 rear-wheel drive 5.0 Ultimate. Quite a mouthful to say in the beginning, but let's break that down for a second. For starters, the 5.0. Being the fact that this is a carryover vehicle from 2015 and 16, it carries the same powertrains. Well, that's at least with the base model until Hyundai, or rather Genesis, launches the new G80 Sport coming later this year, which I won't even mention right now since it's still a little bit under development. But starting with the powertrains, the 5.0 is the biggest engine available for the G80 sedan. A 5-liter direct injected V8 with 420 horsepower and 383 pound-feet of torque. Now, that is quite a lot of power for a car that is classified by most people as a mid-size sedan. And being the fact that this car gives off as big a presence as it does, it may be hard for some people to understand how this is still classified as a mid-size car. Well, considering the first generation Hyundai Genesis, which lasted from 2009 to 2014, was classified as a mid-size car, and this overall shape from nose to tail is only 0.2 of an inch longer than the first generation Genesis, it still is very much a mid-size car. Now, from the side, it definitely does look like a big car, and I can tell you the reason why. When this generation of the Genesis sedan was launched in 2015, what the company actually did was extend the wheelbase a few inches, giving it less front and rear overhangs and giving you much more interior cabin space, and also allowing for a little bit better ride quality. So being the fact that this is the most loaded model, it's pretty much got every option in the book, and it all starts here at the front, because just in the front grille alone and just in the front fascia alone, there is a lot going on. For starters, this car comes standard with automatic adjusting and leveling, high-intensity discharge projector headlights with the factory LED accents running around, and this also has the high beam assist, which means it will kick on the high beam headlights when and if necessary. Also down here you can see the sensors for the front parking assist. You also have the LED fog lights and daytime running lights. And then moving over here to the grille, again, not much has changed. You have this huge gloss black piece here in the middle, and that is also part of the huge advanced safety system on this vehicle. This thing has everything from forward collision alert to automatic emergency braking, and the list goes on and on. Now, one of the other revisions that Genesis did do is they revised the logo a little bit. A small detail, but nonetheless, the logo does look a lot nicer. I like the inserts here, how it's a little less blue on the overall logo itself. It just looks a little bit nicer than the way Hyundai had it with the original Genesis sedan in 2015 and 16. Now, as we go around the car, there is one other defining feature that gives off that this is the 5.0, and that is this set of hyper silver finished 19-inch alloy wheels. If you go for the 3.8 V6, which is the lower end powertrain for the Genesis G80, then you will get 18-inch wheels. But these 19s, again, a carryover from the old car, and I still like the design of them. They're very nice. They're very upscale looking, and I mean, they're not the wheels from an Equus. They don't look like the front of a jet engine, but at the same time, they have a very nice design, 5-lug pattern. You do have 4-wheel disc brakes hiding behind this. You also have the automatic continuous damping control, so that does also provide for a much smoother ride, even with the bigger wheels. Now, also here on the side of the vehicle, we do have power folding mirrors, and I have the key fob in my pocket right now, and as you can see, as I barely walk up to the vehicle, you see that the car automatically will sense the key fob and automatically extend the mirrors outwards. Now, underneath, they also do have puddle lamps with the Genesis logo hidden inside, which projects that nice winged logo right here in front of the door on both the front driver and front passenger side of the vehicle. Now, one of the things that I was mentioning earlier is the fact that Genesis has revised the options list, and the big change is the fact that you will no longer be able to get any form of the G80 from the base model to the vehicle I'm showing you here without the panoramic sunroof. That was one of the things that I think some of the customers were complaining about with the 15 and 16 Genesis sedan, was the fact that you could actually get this thing without the panoramic sunroof. And in order to get that option, you had to go with what was called the Signature package, which included a couple of other additional things, but really the big thing now is the fact you will no longer be able to get it without the panoramic sunroof. Now, here at the back, there are a couple of other defining features that define this one as the 5.0. For starters, you have the quad oval exhaust outlets down below. The 3.8 gets the standard dual trapezoidal exhaust. This car does have the hands-free smart trunk assist, so as long as the vehicle has been locked for more than 15 seconds, I've got the key fob here, and I'll just go ahead and put it in my pocket. If you walk up to the back of the vehicle, it should actually open. And finally, a couple of other features here at the back of the vehicle include the new signature badges on each side of the trunk, but as you can see, the smart trunk access is a little bit on the sensitive side. I really didn't even walk too close to the back trunk, and it already tried to activate on me here, so I'll try to stay away from it as much as possible. Other features on this particular tester include the LED taillights, which are actually pretty nice, and from the back, the car actually has a bit of an angry appearance. It almost looks like an angry red set of eyes looking back at you. It really doesn't give off a very classy or elegant look. It really does have a bit of aggression to it, but then again, with it being the 5.0 V8, this thing really should have that bit of aggression included with it. Now, as we walk around the side of the vehicle and kind of conclude this exterior part, again, it does look like a very big vehicle. It definitely has a wide presence too. From the front, you can definitely tell that this car grew a little bit in width. It kind of grew a little bit in height, but in length, it really didn't grow that much at all. But at the same time, it really does look nice and big. Now, although the outside of this car looks big and looks very elegant in its own right, there is always a lot more luxury to be had once you open the door. Now, of course, to gain access to the interior, the G80 does come standard with the proximity key keyless access system, and here is the brand new key fob. It's a little bit bigger. It feels a lot bigger in your hand, and as you can see, size-wise, it is a little bit on the larger side. It's very thin, but it does feel nice and elegant. A little bit rubbery texture to the buttons and stuff like that, but overall, a very premium-looking key fob. Now, the vehicle is locked at the moment, as you can see, and all you have to do is just tap the button on the side, and 2 beeps indicates that the vehicle's now unlocked. Now when it comes to the interior of the G80, again, it's an exact carryover from 2015 and 16, so you're really not missing much there. But with a price tag on my particular test vehicle stickering over $55,500, which is a pretty good savings over the competition, I would have expected a little bit more in terms of quality. I mean, yes, you do have things such as the matte finished burl wood trim. This is genuine wood and is only available on the 5.0 Ultimate and also on the 3.8 trim level with the Ultimate package equipped. But in terms of other materials, the top part of the door feels a little bit on the firm side. It doesn't really have much padding. Same can be said with the perforated leather here in the middle of the door. It's nice that they did perforate the leather, but it doesn't feel like the top quality high grade leather that I would have expected with a nice vehicle such as this. Here where I'm going to rest my elbows, again, not much padding either. And all of the switch gear and everything, again, it's an exact carryover, so no surprise there. You do have the power folding mirrors, which do have an automatic setting, which is what they're in right now, which is why they extend when you walk up to the vehicle and will also close when you lock it. Now you can fold them in permanently or you can leave them all the way open, whatever your choice may be. You also have the power mirrors, you have power door locks, window locks, all 4 automatic windows. They're automatic in both directions, which is a nice little touch. And then also here for the driver's side of the vehicle, you do have the 2-person memory seat setting as well. Now, as far as the rest of the interior goes, it's always been a nice place to be. It's never been very drab or very dreary in here. You do have the ultra premium leather seating surfaces, this one dressed in black. You do have a couple of different interior color options. You have gray, you have kind of a camel color, you also have ivory, which is kind of a whitish cream color, and then of course you have black. Now, the black with the white, a little bit of a contrast maybe with the white. I would like to have like an ivory interior, but then again, this isn't my car, so I shouldn't be speccing it out my own personal way unless I plan on buying one. Here on the side of the driver's seat, aside from the memory settings, you do have the seat cushion extender, which is the little trigger on top of the distance control. You also have the recline, and you also have multi-way lumbar support as well, so that is nice to have. You also have the blue illuminated entry down there on the skid plate, so that's a nice little touch, especially going alongside those entry puddle lights underneath the exterior mirrors. Now, stepping in, the step-in height isn't bad. You really don't step very far down, even though this is a lower mid-size luxury sedan. When you step in, you actually are greeted by a very spacious cabin and a very, very comfortable seat. Now, what I'm also being greeted with is a lot of sweat and a lot of heat, so I am going to start this thing up. So I have the key fob in my pocket. So just like any push-button ignition nowadays, you just simply have the key fob in the vehicle, foot on the brake, hit the button on the dashboard, and you should get some power. Now, you couldn't see it because I was so close to the gauge cluster, but when you actually start the vehicle, you do have a memory power tilting and telescoping steering wheel, which is activated by this little trigger over here. And once you do start the vehicle, it will actually go back to its last memory setting. And the same can be said for the driver's seat here, being the fact it does have those memory functions as well. Now, once you finally sit yourself down in these ultra premium leather lined seats here, aside from the fact that they are extremely comfortable, you will notice a couple of things about the interior, being the fact that this is a carryover again from 2015 and 2016. Being the fact that this is a new company and they're promoting these ultra luxury statements and everything like that, I would have expected a little bit more in terms of aesthetics. Now, again, I know this is a carryover, so I really shouldn't be nitpicking this, but at the same time, time. Certain things like the matte finished wood, it does feel a little on the plasticky side, but it doesn't look cheap. It actually has a very nice grain to it. That is a very nice touch to the interior, especially if you're going to call this thing an Ultimate. It really doesn't look like cheap plastic shiny wood veneer that you've just stuck on something. Other notes about the aesthetics of the interior: the top of the dash is exactly the same material as the top of the door, so no surprise there. You do have a small bit of leather and stitching over the top of the gauge binnacle here, so it does provide a little bit of padding up here on the top. So, but it's not really a key touch point. I wouldn't say that people are going to be feeling up here or touching the top of the dash or anything like that. Really, from this piece of wood all the way down is going to be your key touch points. And down here on the bottom of the dash, again, not so much padding. Same thing as same materials up at the top, so that's not really a surprise there. You do also have the satin silver trim here across the middle of the dash and across to the passenger door as well. Now, looking directly in front of the driver, for starters, like I said, you have the leather-trimmed 4-spoke multifunction power tilting and telescoping memory steering wheel. Quite a lot to say just about a round thing in front of you that controls your steering direction, but all the same, you do have a lot of buttons on here as well. You have the button that controls your 4.2-inch liquid crystal display up there in the middle of the gauge cluster. That is a bigger screen over the standard G80. If you go with the 3.8 that is of a lower trim, such as with only the premium package or perhaps even a base, this screen will be a little bit smaller. So ones with the ultimate package, the 3.8 and the 5.0, will get that larger LCD screen. This trigger here, it controls different things such as your radio power, lane departure warning, and lane keep assist. You also have your audio visual, you have your fuel warning and range, and you also have your different settings such as for the hands-free smart trunk access, the power door locks, the lights, the chimes, and all that other good stuff as well. You can also adjust this via this little wheel here to the right, which allows you to scroll through different menus such as trip meters. You have your digital speedometer, and really that's about it. There's not too much exciting in the way of the gauge cluster, and also it is the full electroluminescent cluster that you got from the previous Genesis as well. And electroluminescent technology, again, not really anything too new. On the left-hand side of the wheel, you do have your Bluetooth functions, your hands-free radio controls, and finishing everything over off here on the right is your active cruise control button, so that allows you to set the radar-guided cruise control, and you also have the regular cruise control functions as well. Now, moving over to the left of the wheel, you do have your power trunk button. The 3.8 Ultimate and 5.0 Ultimate will come with a power-assisted trunk in addition to the hands-free smart trunk access, so that's nice that they give you that. You have the standard blind spot monitoring, as noted by the little icons in the mirrors. You have your traction control, your lane keep assist, and instrument dimming, and also an electronic parking brake. So to set it, you just simply pull up. You'll get an icon in the lower left-hand corner of the gauge cluster that tells you that the brake is on. Then to release, just simply put your foot on the brake and push the trigger forward. And as you can see, the icon goes away. Now, up here on the stock, you do have your automatic headlights. Like I said, they are high-intensity discharge projector lights, and you also do have the LED daytime running lights as well. That's done by a flick of the fog light switch here. Intermittently timed wipers, and that about does it for what's directly in front of the driver. Moving over here to the control station, however, there are a couple of other things that kind of catch my eye. For starters, I do like this little selection here. It's all controlled through the control station. It seems a lot of manufacturers that are looking to make luxury-oriented cars are going with this. You have a control station with all of the buttons, so you have your home, Bluetooth telephone, your back button, your nav, which allows you to go straight to your navigation settings, including destinations. Map, unfortunately, I can't show you that, but I can tell you it's pretty much exactly the same. Unfortunately, this car is yet to be PDI'd, so it does not have the SD card for the navigation, which would normally go right here, actually installed. But other than that, you do have your Sirius XM satellite radio, your Bluetooth telephone, as I said before, Hyundai's BlueLink telematics and car care. You also have the navigation settings, and I like the responsiveness of it. I like the color. Everything seems to be a little bit more updated and a little bit nicer than some of the other MMI systems that I've dealt with from Hyundai in the past, or in this case now from Genesis. It also is touchscreen, so if you don't wish to use the control station down here, a lot of the functions can become touchscreen function. So You do have also your media, so this car does have the iPod, USB, and auxiliary inputs down here in the center stack or center console. Again, Sirius XM satellite radio and your general AM and FM radio as well. Now, when you actually go to the radio, again, the Sirius satellite radio gives you hundreds and hundreds of channels to actually listen into, and with this one having the 12 speaker, or I think the 17 speaker Lexicon premium audio system, this thing produces some insane sound quality.
Can't get enough.
Now, aside from using all of the touchscreen functions up here, if you do wish to have something physical to actually lay your finger on to control things that you saw up here before, you do have your AM and FM button, your Sirius XM button, your media, map and voice, your seek and track buttons, and so on. And you can even also turn the display off. This little button here labeled DISP, you push it and your big display on the 9.2-inch display here, at least for the Ultimate package, goes away. Now, as far as everything else, this car does have a dual zone climate control system. You do have a button labeled climate so you can see how everything is working. You have a dual zone here in the front. You do have air vents that come out between the front seats for the rear occupants, but you do have your fan speed, your automatic AC. This car does have Hyundai's, or rather now Genesis's, clean air ionizer and purifier. That's basically like one of those big air purifiers that you have at home, so it's only allowing the cleanest air to be filtered into the interior, to put it a little bit nicer. You do have your climate zones here for the driver. Same goes over here for the passenger. You have your sync button, which allows you to control the temperatures either independently, meaning by themselves, or simultaneously, so you can control them both at the same time. Other than that, I mean, it's all really straightforward. Front and rear defroster. You also have heated exterior mirrors, and then of course your temperature controls for both the driver and passenger. Now, moving down here to the center, you do have some leather here for each side of the center console, each side of this kind of silvery, I don't know whether to call it faux carbon fiber or faux aluminum trim. It does sound plasticky, it does sound cheap, and if you're going to make this a premium luxury line, I would have liked to have seen maybe a little improvement in materials down here as well. I seem to be all about the aesthetics in this car, don't I? But anyways, here on the side, you do have the same supple, ultra premium leather here for each side of the center console. Here in the center, as I said, you do have the small cubby here in the front with the auxiliary and USB. You also have the cup holders here in the middle, and you do also have your control station. Now, this being the Ultimate package, it does have the 3-stage heated and ventilated seat functions for both the driver and passenger here in the front. Also, I forgot to mention, it does have a button for Hyundai's Blue Link as well, and the parking assist disabling as well. Now, you do have a split tier glove box here in the center. It's just got a nice little tray that goes here in the center. It's kind of hard to fiddle with at first, but as you can see, it provides a little bit of storage, maybe something for your phone, and that's all lined in leather. It's nice and padded. It's nice and soft, actually. The leather, especially in the seats, very soft, very supple, feels of very good quality. I do like that about this interior as well. And last but not least, looking up top, and maybe you can't really see it because of the glare, you do have the Blue Link functions, including your SOS up here at the top. You have your electroluminescent compass up in the corner, which also comes with a power button, and you have a 3-setting HomeLink garage door transmitter. So built into the mirror here, I'm not sure how well you can see it. There you go. Now you can see that it does have those links up there, or the transmitters up there at the top. And then finally, up at the roof, you do have the full panoramic Vista sunroof. Now, only the front part opens, but you can just open the shade, which opens both ways. And then lastly, you just flick this trigger here, and one touch function, hey presto, the sunroof opens with a nice little mesh wind guard up at the top. And last but not least, before we move on to the other parts of the G80, I did want to also touch on the transmission. This is exactly the same carryover. Again, it's really nothing special. It is the 8-speed electronically controlled automatic transmission with the Shifttronic manual shift mode. So you do get a backup camera, as you can probably expect, nice and wide. You do have the multi-view system, so you can select a top view. You just push the center button here, That allows for a more direct view, and that's for backing against another car or another object such as a pole, maybe in a parking lot. And again, this car does have front and rear parking assist sensors, and when I turn the wheel, it also does give you trajectory with those big, brightly colored guidance lines as well. Now it does also come with manual shift, so you can select the gears either via the gear stick down here, or like I said, by the paddle shifters up on the steering wheel, using the left one to shift down, the right one to shift up. And also what will help you with engaging a little bit more of a sporty driving function is the drive mode select. This is a carryover from a lot of Hyundai's other cars. You have 3 separate modes. You have Eco, Normal, and Sport. So right now we push it, you can see we are in Eco, so that means everything is green. It lit up a little bit green there at the bottom of the display. You hit it again, Sport, that little central display turns red. Same with the icon at the top of your larger Navi screen. Hit it again, and Normal is just a nice, sensible blue. So that is also a very nice little function. I have driven these in the Sport mode before. It doesn't make a huge difference. It firms up the electric power steering, the rack-mounted motor-driven power steering to be specific, and also does firm up the gear changes. The throttle response changes a little bit, and it will hold the RPMs in a higher rev band in the Sport mode when you try to drive it spiritedly. A couple of other things, or at least one other thing, is the auto hold function as well. So you push that, and the auto hold basically means when you have that engaged, should your foot slip off the brake pedal, the car will actually hold the brakes for you while you find the time to put your foot back on the brake pedal. God, I'm getting so tongue-tied here. But anyway, so that's a nice little function as well. Now when it comes to the back seat of the G80, this thing, again, it's exactly the same carryover as before, but what also amazed me from 2015 and 2016 was not only how much space you actually have in the rear seat, but also the size of the doors themselves. Again, keep in mind, this is a mid-size car still, but because Hyundai extended the wheelbase for the 2015 and 16 Genesis, this thing does still have quite a large entry. But another thing that also really impressed me about this second generation Genesis was how soft the doors actually close. They just sound like a proper luxury car should. Just take a listen. Just a nice soft thunk. Just the way a luxury car should sound. Now here in the back, you don't have anything like power or even manual sunshades for the back. I kind of would have expected that for the price tag. I know the Equus for 2010 to 2016 had the power sunshades here in the rear, and no rear heated seats either. That's also kind of a surprise. I wish maybe they had included that, being that this is, again, almost a $60,000 car. Just a few thousand short of 60 grand. You would think that they would have included functions like that as well. Now getting into the back seat here, you can fit someone of a much taller stature in here with ease. Again, I'm 6'1", I'm sitting directly behind myself where I would have the seat, and as you can see, I've got at least a hand's width between my knees and the back of the seat. Now the back of the seat is lined in leather. It is a little bit firmer than the upper part of the seat here, like what I would actually be sitting on if I was in the front, but you do have mat pockets here in the back, kind of with a little bit of elastic on them. Again, nothing too special. You do have a little bit of a temperature control for the rear air conditioning, as well as a kind of a fan speed, I guess, here in the back as well. But again, dual air vents for the rear occupants. These seats are not 60-40 split. You do have a little pass-through though here, so you fold the center console down and you can put whatever you wish back there, be it like skis or a kneeboard or a snowboard or something like that, if you were to even think about taking this car up to the mountains. But here in the center console, very nice, soft, and supple leather here for this middle part. Again, little cup holders in the middle, but all in all, nothing too extraordinarily special. Now, as far as headroom goes, again, I'm 6'1", so keep that in mind. And my head is kind of in the ceiling, but there is a little indentation right here, so that is nice that you do get that. I kind of wish the whole headliner was indented. That would be kind of nice, but I can't really expect too much with a car like this. Now with this particular test vehicle being the top of the line 5.0 Ultimate, aside from the hands-free smart trunk access that you get on pretty much all G80s now, one of the other things on at least Ultimate package equipped vehicles is the power assisted trunk lid. This comes on only the 3.8 with the Ultimate package or the 5.0 Ultimate as standard equipment. Now once you open the trunk, you open to 15.3 cubic feet of total cargo volume, which is about on par with a lot of mid mid-size cars nowadays, somewhere between 15 to 16 cubic feet of space. Now, if you were to have 60/40 split fold seats, that would be kind of nice to extend the cargo volume, but then again, this is more about luxury rather than practicality. But all the same, you could fit things such as a set of golf clubs in here. You could fit a couple duffel bags and a good few suitcases in there. All you would really need to have pretty much everything for whether you're on a business trip or whatever your pleasure may be. And you just push the button at the top of the trunk lid, and it automatically and softly closes. Now, taking a peek under the hood of the G80, again, those of you who guessed the powertrains or probably know about the powertrains already, this is definitely going to come as no surprise, because starting out on the 2017 G80 are the exact same powertrains from 2015 and 16. Lower end models start out with Hyundai's 3.8 liter gasoline direct fuel injected double overhead cam 24 valve V6, producing 311 horsepower and around 280 or so pound-feet of torque. However, those who want some real get up and go should take a look at the engine that I have here. This is the 5 liter Tau series gasoline direct fuel injected V8. Now, this monster cranks out 420 horsepower and 383 pound-feet of torque. Now, like I said, this thing is moving 4,500 plus pounds, so given the fact that it does have this much power, I'd say it's more than adequate to deal with the bulk. Now, the V8 does also come, like I said, with gasoline direct fuel injection. It's double overhead cams, and it is 32 valves, and it also comes with Hyundai's dual continuous variable valve timing. Now, the big surprise that we're all waiting for much excitedly for later on this year is the 3.3 liter twin turbocharged V6, said to make almost 380 horsepower. Now, that engine will debut only on the G80 Sport. So for now, we only have the 3.8 and the 5.0, but all still very powerful engines and still very much noteworthy. Now, even though it's not the top priority when talking about a mid-size luxury sedan, this car did not earn such a high safety rating for no particular reason. In fact, this car earned a top safety pick courtesy of our friends at the IIHS, scoring 5 stars in almost all of its categories. Now, stepping down into the passenger side here, you will definitely start to see why. For starters, you have airbags everywhere. You have 2 in the front, 1 for the driver, 1 for the passenger. You have side curtain airbags as labeled there on the B-pillar. You also have side impact airbags as noted by tags on the seat. And with this one being the 5.0 Ultimate, like I said, it has a lot of electronic safety features as well. Now, I mentioned a few of them earlier, those being lane departure warning, lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert. You also have pedestrian alert. You have automatic emergency braking, and the list goes on and on. Now, with all of those in place, this thing should definitely be one of the safer mid-size luxury sedans on the market. And overall, with all of the technology included and the way this thing still feels to this day, I would say that this is more than a hefty heavy hitter for the mid-size luxury category. So all in all, I'm still pleased with the Genesis G80. I just can't wait to see what they'll do with the lineup in the future. And unfortunately, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, our time here with the 2017 Genesis G80 5.0 Ultimate has now come to a close. I do hope you guys have enjoyed this review as much as I have had fun making it for you guys. Now, if you like what you see, feel free to like, subscribe, and or comment. And in the end, a huge thanks to Humble Genesis here on 59 North in Houston, Texas, for providing us with this beautiful vehicle for us to explore today. But again, guys, from the north end of Houston, Texas, this is Grand Prix GTP 02 signing out until next time.